Welcome to Principles of Ecology. Today, we are exploring one of the most vital topics in conservation biology, national parks and sanctuaries. We will discover how these protected areas act as the ultimate safe havens for our planet's biodiversity. And we will even learn the mathematical principles ecologists use to design them. Let us dive in. To start, imagine you have a priceless, fragile family heirloom, like an ancient glass vase. You certainly would not leave it in the middle of a busy street where passing cars or careless pedestrians could smash it. In the natural world, our endangered animals, rare plants, and delicate ecosystems are exactly like that priceless glass vase. Human activities, such as aggressive logging, unregulated hunting, and rapid city building, represent that dangerous busy street. National parks and wildlife sanctuaries act as a secure, locked display case. They provide a legally protected fortress where nature comes first, allowing ecosystems to function, heal, and grow naturally without human interference. Now that we understand the purpose of these safe zones, let us look at how they are formally defined, starting with national parks. A national park is a strictly protected natural area designated by a national government. Its primary goal is to conserve the entire natural environment, which includes flora, fauna, landscapes, and even historical objects. What sets a national park apart is its absolute highest level of legal protection. Inside its borders, human activities like livestock grazing, commercial forestry, and private land ownership are completely prohibited. This strict zero interference policy ensures that the ecosystem remains entirely undisturbed by human development. While national parks offer strict, blanket protection, wildlife sanctuaries take a slightly different approach. A wildlife sanctuary is a protected area specifically focused on the conservation of animal species and their specific habitats. They still offer incredibly strong protection, but they are slightly more flexible in their management. In a sanctuary, limited human activities may be allowed, provided they do not interfere with wildlife conservation. For example, indigenous local communities might be permitted to engage in sustainable grazing or gather minor forest produce. Both national parks and sanctuaries fall under the broader category of protected areas, serving as critical tools for in situ or on-site conservation. Understanding these definitions leads us to ask, why do we desperately need these protected areas in our modern world? Without them, rampant habitat destruction and illegal poaching would drive countless species to rapid extinction, which could ultimately collapse entire global food webs. These areas serve as vital genetic reservoirs, preserving the raw biological diversity that keeps our planet resilient against devastating diseases and rapid climate change. Furthermore, they provide invaluable living laboratories for ecologists to study ecosystems in their natural states. Real-world places like Yellowstone or Kaziranga not only save iconic species, but also generate sustainable income through ecotourism, funding further global conservation efforts. To see how this protection is actually implemented on the ground, let us look at this zoning diagram. You're looking at a standard model for managing a protected area, divided into 3 concentric circles. Right in the center is the dark green core zone. This is the strictly protected area where absolutely no human activity is allowed, much like a national park. Surrounding it is the light green buffer zone, where limited, low-impact activities like tourism, research, and education take place. Finally, the outermost yellow ring is the transition zone, which allows for sustainable human settlements and agriculture. This layered approach ensures the core remains pristine while supporting local communities. Having seen how these areas are zoned, we must now consider how they are designed in the first place. When governments establish a new national park, they must make critical decisions about its physical size. They need to know exactly how large the protected area must be to successfully conserve a target number of species. It is not enough to just draw a random line on a map. Ecologists must predict biodiversity levels based on the geographical footprint of the sanctuary, ensuring the space is adequate for long-term survival. To answer this complex question, scientists rely on a fundamental mathematical model. This brings us to the mathematical model ecologists use, the species-area relationship. The formula is S equals C times A raised to the power of Z. Let us break down what each symbol means. S represents the total number of species found within the protected area. A represents the total area of the park, usually measured in square kilometers. The symbol C is a constant that depends on the specific taxonomic group and region, acting as a baseline species count. Finally, the exponent Z is the slope of the relationship, indicating how quickly the number of species increases as the area increases. Physically, this tells us that if the area, A, increases, the number of species, S, also increases. But because of the exponent Z, this growth is not strictly linear. Before we move on, let us see this formula in action with a concrete example. Imagine a government allocates 1,000 square kilometers for a new sanctuary. Ecological surveys give us a constant C of 10 and a scaling slope Z of 0.3. We need to find the total expected bird species, S. We start by substituting our known values into the species area equation. We replace C with 10, A with 1,000, and Z with 0.3. Next, we evaluate the exponential part. 1,000 raised to the power of 0.3 is approximately 7.94. Multiplying our baseline constant of 10 by this area multiplier gives us 79.4. Since we can't have a fraction of a bird, we round to the nearest whole number. The sanctuary will support approximately 79 distinct bird species. Now that we have calculated how many different species a park can hold, we must ask how many individuals of a single species can live there. This introduces the concept of carrying capacity. Carrying capacity is the maximum population size that a specific environment can sustain indefinitely without breaking down. Even in a strictly protected national park, resources like food and water are finite. If an animal population grows too large, they risk overgrazing and destroying their own sanctuary. Therefore, park managers must establish a hard mathematical ceiling to ensure the ecosystem remains healthy and balanced. To calculate this hard mathematical ceiling, ecologists use a very straightforward formula. K equals D times A. Let us define these terms. K stands for the carrying capacity, which is the absolute maximum number of individuals the park can support. D represents the maximum sustainable population density, typically measured as the number of animals per square kilometer. Finally, A is the total available area of the park in square kilometers. Physically, if the available area A increases, the carrying capacity K increases proportionally. This simple multiplication ensures that wildlife managers know exactly when a population is getting too large for its designated space. Let us apply this carrying capacity formula to a real-world scenario. Suppose a national park is established to protect endangered deer. The park has a total surveyed area of 500 square kilometers. Ecologists determine the sustainable density is 4 deer per square kilometer. We need to find the absolute carrying capacity, K. We substitute our known values into the equation, replacing the density D with 4 and the area A with 500. Multiplying 4 by 500 gives us 2,000. The spatial units of square kilometers perfectly cancel out, leaving us with a pure count of individual animals. This means the park can sustainably support a maximum of 2,000 deer. If the herd exceeds this number, managers must intervene to prevent mass starvation. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us review the most important ideas. First, national parks and wildlife sanctuaries are legally enforced safe havens that protect ecosystems from destructive human interference. Second, we learned that the species-area relationship helps ecologists predict biodiversity, proving mathematically that larger areas support more species. Finally, we explored carrying capacity, which provides a strict population limit to prevent habitat degradation. By applying these ecological principles, scientists can design and manage protected zones with incredible effectiveness. You now understand the fundamental science behind preserving our planet's beautiful and thriving natural life. Great job!